the only cure for cancer is a healthy immune system. That's
Mm.
where I live. That's the consciousness I live in. A healthy immune system, a truly healthy body, and regaining the right rhythms of organ and gland function is really reestablishes balance.
If you're a woman over 40 and you feel like your body just isn't working the way it used to, low energy, bloating after meals, stubborn weight, nothing's working, and on top of it all, you have brain fog, you're not crazy and you're not broken. For so many women, it feels like overnight everything has changed. Foods that you used to tolerate suddenly make you feel terrible. Your energy crashes, and no matter how clean you eat and how much you exercise, something still feels off. That's why I created Simply the Best. It's a 90-day experience designed specifically for women over 40 to rebuild their gut health, restore their energy, and help them feel confident in their bodies again. Inside the program, we focus on healing your gut so everything else starts working again. Smoother digestion, balanced weight without obsessing, clearer skin, better mood, sharper focus, and energy you haven't felt in years. Because when your gut is working, your whole life levels up. If you're ready to feel like yourself again, you can learn more about joining the program in the link in the show notes. All right, back to the episode. Welcome to the Let's Talk Shit podcast. I am your host, Lisa Garrett. I am a wife, mom of 4 boys, 2 German Shepherds, and I'm a gut and psychology practitioner. Look, I know you've done all the things with diet and exercise, and I also know that your health means the world to you. I'm going to show you how your gut health is the game changer to your weight, your confidence, and your stamina. So if you're ready to become the shit in your life, then let's jump in. All right, everybody, welcome back. Today's episode is really going to be powerful. My guest is back, Joseph Antell, who first joined us on episode 44, The Truth About Nutrition That No One Is Teaching. He's back today, but he's back with a very personal conversation. Joseph will be sharing his own cancer journey from receiving an incurable diagnosis in 2007 to refusing conventional treatment, to becoming completely cancer-free in just 2 years, not remission, but cured. And through it all, Joseph has stood firmly in one belief. His mantra is the human body knows how to integrate, not disintegrate. Joseph has spent more than 54 years mentoring healthcare practitioners across the country, teaching the real-life clinical application of nutrition and helping people understand what the body actually needs to heal and function the way it was designed to. His work is deeply rooted in the principles of Dr. Royal Lee, that true healing begins with whole food nutrition, supporting the body instead of constantly fighting against it. This episode is really thought-provoking, inspirational. I've heard his story, and I think you're going to love it. So welcome back, Joseph.
So good to be with you, Lisa, and your network. Always good to be and share with people that have a common understanding and are open to other possibilities.
Yeah, for sure. I want to take you back to, first of all, we are just so honored to have you. You've been my mentor for 10 plus years, and I've learned so much from you that has changed the trajectory of my health and my family's health, and now the people I work with. So this is a gift. Okay, so let's go back to 2007. Where were you in your life when you got this diagnosis?
So I was the representative for Standard Process and Medier back in New York and Connecticut. And I thought doing fine, but I started to get certain symptoms, swollen glands, which, by the way, I'll send along my whole story to you, the recording. It's an hour and a half long. and the notes from it, and you can pass that on to your friends. And I also did a blog article about the 4 things that you must do to prevent cancer, or if you've had cancer, keep it away, or if you actively have cancer, what you can do. Um, so in 2007, just briefly, I was working really hard, long hours, out late at night, probably drinking too much alcohol, the typical rich foods, out with health practitioners and doctors, and just a very active life. And so I started to get swollen glands and night sweats, and just couldn't get out of bed unless it was a struggle. So what I did was I lived like 15 minutes from Yale University, one of the top university and hospitals in the world for cancer. And so they aspirated one of the lymph nodes of my neck, and they said, "There's no cancer, so you probably have an infection." They offered me antibiotics, and so which I think I did a 10-day, I honored. And by the way, I want to make that clear that I'm not against medical science, and I honor medical science. I work with medical health practitioners, but they have a range of tools, and in the holistic nutritional field, we have a range of tools. So there's no competition. We should work together. And most people believe and trust medical science, rightly so. But there are alternatives. And I don't like the word alternative. I would say there are other things that can be done. There are other approaches to lifestyle, diet, and supplementation that have been used for thousands of years. Most of what I teach are based on Chinese medicine and other knowledges that the knowledge of standard process is almost 100 years old. Well,
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
yeah, yeah.
Why do you think the medical professional does not want to work with the alternative professionals?
Well, I just think, most of them have spent. I hear an echo. Can you
Oh,
turn something down?
I'm not hearing it on my end. I can.
It's gone. It's gone now.
Okay. Is it better?
Can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Um, there's a lot of investment in chemistry of the body related to medications and drugs. And so that is their scope. It's called a scope of practice. And so that's fine. They have a lot of research based on different studies, and that's great. In the holistic field, we also have a lot of research,
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of years of application and outcome, hundreds, thousands of years, and way before medical science. Go to Chinese medicine and the principles there, and different herbs and spices and food concentrates that were used. And so, um, I don't think they're critical about our approach. I just think they don't have the knowledge. The average medical doctor has in spending $500,000 on their school to get to where they are, and that's not even becoming a specialist. That's another 4 years. That's 10 years, and more than $500,000 in school costs and living and getting through it all. But we have the experience of many that we've read and studied and used. And so they're both useful. And it's not for either side to condemn the other. That's going to go nowhere, because the principles, the laws of nature are not going to go away ever. And
Correct.
medical science has changed its views many times and corrected itself. I just read an article. I have been teaching about the thymus gland, which ties in with cancer, by the way. And for years, they said the thymus gland is active in a younger childhood and adolescence. Then it atrophies and it doesn't do anything. And that was it. That was their understanding, just to use one example. Now they are saying it is the key to longevity, to reduced cardiovascular issues, and the foundation of all immune function. And that's wonderful. I rejoice in that. I think we're at a point where both sides need to meet in the middle and appreciate each other's gifts and their understanding and their backgrounds. So
I couldn't agree more, and that's a really good way to put it, is to meet in the middle. There is an ER doctor here in Omaha, and when he gets gut-related patients, he will literally dictate into his phone who he has seen and gives them my card. If they, once he checks them out and they have, IBS or whatever, because he's gone through my program, and he will give them my information and sends me the patient. And then I always wait for the patient to reach out to me. But that's he and I working together. And I work with another doctor here, an OB, who sends his postpartum patients or peri or menopausal patients who want to lose weight. He's like, it's not my scope of practice. Here's Lisa's card. So I can meet in the middle with those two doctors. I wish there were more. I'm in the gut health world. I wish there were more GI doctors. But anyway, so 2007, you get this.
Well,
Go ahead.
I mean, the AMA is tied in with the drug industry, and unfortunately, it goes back to money, but it's not the spirit of the true healer. Whether you're a medical doctor, an oncologist, a heart surgeon, their spirit is to help the people. That's why they have spent devotion of their lives and money to get there. But there are industries. The pharmaceutical industry is very powerful. And most medical professionals know that in school they've only had 10 hours of nutrition, if that. So, I don't think it's as big of an issue now. I think those in the holistic healthcare field need to be careful that with their wording. So not to make claims of cure, but simply to help individuals realize that both sides, drugs and nutritional supplements, need to be used together. So,
Yeah. Pretty simple stuff, really, when you
but it
combine it.
is very political. So, yeah. Uh, one of my colleagues used to use the term, we're all dancing around the same fire. And
It's
that's
true.
actually the way it is. Yeah.
So let's go back to 2007 and you get this diagnosis. Take us in the moment where you heard that you have this incurable cancer.
Yeah, it's a really good question because what it leads to is so what happened was after the Yale incident, I continued to be ill. And so um and I knew something was desperately wrong and I wasn't suspecting cancer, but so I actually gave up. I was making, I don't know, 30 to 40,000 a month, depending on the month. And I just left it all. I walked away because I was not able to function on my own. And I didn't want to get sick and die away from my children and my family who lived in Colorado. So I closed up shop, left the love of my life, and uh, unfortunately, and moved back to Colorado. So my younger daughter, who is a NICU nurse, speaking of medical, and she's married to a internal medicine doctor, um, not at the time, but she recommended that I needed to do more. So I went in and I had one of the lymph nodes removed. And that's when they found it. The the cancer was not in the fluid of the lymph system. It was in the follicle, the lymph nodes. That's why it was called follicular lymphoma. And I just want to read you all this, not to make this a big deal. Follicular lymphoma traditionally is considered incurable, acting more like a chronic, manageable disease. However, long-term remission is highly achievable. Many patients live normal lifespans and require only periodic monitoring, while existing long-term trial analysis suggests a subset of patients may actually achieve a complete cure. And so, just to be honest, I had a type of cancer that had the potential of working for me in a very positive, wonderful way. And it has been 20 years now.
Yeah. It's
Because it's
amazing.
2026. I actually got sick in 2006. So it's been 20 years. So I've been very blessed, very fortunate. But what my oncologist said, more than likely at that time, that I would have to keep an eye on it throughout the rest of my life. More than likely, it would turn into a blood cancer like leukemia, or the tumors would come back and grow, crowd the organs, and then reduce the function of how my body works, and I would need surgeries, the tumors to be removed, and so on and so forth. So that has never happened. I have
Wow.
not had. Yeah.
So I read your story again, and when you got the diagnosis, you had 35 years of clinical work under your belt as a clinical nutritionist herbalist. So when you got that news, what are some of the first things you thought or you did to take action for you? What went through your head
Well,
about your plan?
well, the first thing I did was I dropped everything, left a very successful career, making a lot of money, and from the generosity of Standard Process and MediHerb, who pays really well. They're the people that work for them, and I basically what I've done and suggested for many people is is, and I use the analogy of a computer. If a computer is confused and not working and not cooperating, what do? You shut it down. You reboot, and that clears the deck. And so there's a saying, actually Jesus said it. They asked him about this one miracle that happened, and he said, these things come because of prayer and fasting. So Jesus was a practical person, and he used the principle of the vertical connection, whatever that is for you, no matter what religion or what way of life, or from Buddhism to Christianity, it's all fine. But the other is fasting. And that's a principle that they have used for thousands of years to shut it down. So that's what I did. Basically, I took 2 years and I stopped all red meat and all, pork and processed meats. And I got off of all sugar, because the only substance that feeds cancer, that fuels cancer, is glucose.
I have to ask you a question. So a lot of our listeners, they've heard me talk about grass-fed beef. Was that because I know there's conventional beef and then there's the grass-fed, grass-finished beef, which is high in omega-3 fatty acids. When you talk about red meat, you talk about, like, why was that one of the foods you took out? And was it grass-fed?
I'm so glad you said that, because it is the hormones. So remember that glucose feeds the cancer. But I'm not going to keep doing AI with you, but you can Google this, everyone, and look it up. I did. Hormones, whether they be from food substances, they empower the tumor. They whatever the abnormal growth, whether it is cancer or a benign tumor, whatever it is, hormones. So, and you could say, well, what is that? Estrogen in women and testosterone in men help with the growth cycle of abnormal cells and normal cells. And the mobilization, or in cancer lingo, the metastases, that is driven by too much hormone. So to go back to red meat, any food that is not natural will have hormones, that residue hormones. Now, the Meat Association, the American Beef Association, would not be happy, because most beef raised in this country, they feed them just before for growth, to make them grow fatter and faster. They feed them hormones and other chemicals, antibiotics, to keep the meat from any infection. So, and I'm not telling tales that people don't already know. So
Yeah.
but with cancer, red meat is hard to break down and digest. And so I remove the burden from the body. If your body is struggling, you must take the load off, and Fanny or Annie, however the song goes. Take the load off. And handling a lot of meat protein and proteins with preservatives is a tremendous burden. And remember, when you have cancer, it is the most toxic state your body can be in. Because your immune system is so wonderful, it's so powerful, it is killing cancer cells faster than they're growing, But then those dead cancer cells have to get out of the body. Otherwise, you get very toxic. And guess what system has to handle that is your lymphatic system. And I had lymphatic cancer. So I just sensibly knew I have to go to basically vegetables. And I did eat. I basically lived on fish for 2 years. And once in a while, organic chicken, no alcohol, no caffeine. And yeah, and my body really, it trimmed down. I was leaner and meaner and thinner, and eventually that alone helped a lot.
So you get this diagnosis, they present the plan of chemoradiation. And what was that like, knowing what you know and knowing what standard cancer treatment is? What was that conversation like with your doctor, and how did all that go?
Well, I always say the Lord has blessed me throughout my whole life, and even through this cycle. My former wife, who I'm still friends with to this day, she was a nurse at the local hospital, and she knew doctors. She knew oncologists, and so there was an oncologist in the area where I live, who was born and raised in Italy, came to this country and went through medical school, but he also went to medical school in Italy as well. And so, when I went in to visit him, I interviewed 3 oncologists. One threw me out of his office because he said, "No, you're mine. You're going to do exactly what I say." And I said, "No, I'm not." So total disrespect, which is fine. Okay. The second one that I interviewed was a younger man, and he said, "Joe, you're so healthy. You're so healthy. We just have to wait till you get sicker."
Oh my
The
gosh.
answer. And this doctor in Fort Collins, Colorado, who, by the way, has gone into cancer research using mRNA now.
Really?
Yes, he said in the future, he said 10 to 20 years, chemotherapy, he said, we know it doesn't work. And it just makes the person sicker. And it will kill the cancer cells, but it kills the person. If they can survive it, that's the principle. Who can outlast the poisoning of the chemotherapy? Now, having said that, I want to put an asterisk on. Chemotherapy is so specific now. It's much better than it was. So if you choose, anybody listening, you're getting pressure from your family, fine. Then you have to do what you have to do to reduce your fear, which is a big factor, but use nutrition as well. Do both. So feed the body. And remember that medical science has determined there is no cure for cancer. And
Do you think there is?
oh, I already read that.
Do you think there is a cure for cancer?
Not from a. I don't say it that way. I say, and I honor what the medical profession said. The only cure for cancer is a healthy immune system. That's where I live. That's the consciousness I live in. A healthy immune system, a truly healthy body, and regaining the right rhythms of organ and gland function is really reestablishes balance.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the whole area of cancer, their tools is to cut, burn, or poison.
Yes.
And it is no judgment, but that's what they're doing. Now, there are some cases where Now remember, I'm talking about my personal journey, but I'm adding in these other things, and it's not a judgment. But there are times that I feel, and I've recommended it to friends and family that have asked me, sometimes you just have to cut it out. So
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as radiation, it's so destructive,
Mm-hmm.
and the body is already at a very low place when there's cancer in the body. But so
Okay,
you
so
have to consider whether you want to do that or not. And then,
I
of
just
course, the chemotherapy.
I just want to say that like prostate cancer is it's in my family. And do you know that neither oncologist ever told either person to stop alcohol? And when I said
Well,
it,
that's yeah,
but when I said it, it was like deer in the headlights. And the response was, my doctor didn't tell me I had to quit drinking. So I think that people are looking to their doctors.
that rationale.
Well, I know. It's yes.
Yeah.
But people, when they are so afraid when they get the diagnosis and what can I do? Okay, I'll do the treatments. They're looking for their doctors to say, and do really good nutrition. Make sure you don't drink.
Yeah.
You know, eat really good. Don't buy meat filled with like those are basic things that doctors do know now, but they are not passing along. And people need to hear that.
Right.
So, okay, so let's go back to you.
And that's why so most oncologists will, uh, which my doctor did as well, is refer you to a dietitian. So
Mhm.
they're aware that it's not their area, their niche of being a healer. So they will refer you to someone else that is. So that's very important. Now, whether registered dietitians, that's don't get me going with that. Have that full understanding of how food works in the body and what food you should eat and shouldn't eat.
Mhm.
Just look at the menu in a hospital. What is the menu? Fruit
It's
juice.
mac and
So,
cheese. Mac
uh,
and cheese.
yeah, just very unhealthy food. So, but again, I'd rather spend time on sharing with you what I found that worked than, you know,
Okay, so let's go. So what
my
did you do?
father would always say, my father would always say, I could complain, but it won't do any good and nobody will listen. So it is, and that's why it's so great what you're doing with these podcasts. You're making people aware. It's awareness, and it's taking action for your own body to and taking action, finding a solution, not solving a problem, but finding the solution for you, what works for you, because you have an understanding, and then you make it's your body. That's what the first oncologist said. No, I own your body. And I said, no, you don't, nor
Mhm.
will you. And
Mhm.
so, and it was, it was heated. So, yeah. So what I did in those 2 years was I basically, as I said, I really spent time nurturing prayer, meditation, food, gentle exercise. And this oncologist, when I first saw him, said, you're such a healthy man. He studied every single nutrition and herb that I was taking. That's
Wow.
how respectful he was of me, not just throwing what he thought and what he wanted for me, but he looked at everything.
So you
And
felt
so,
you felt
he,
validated.
yes, yeah, yeah, we worked together.
Mhm.
And, and so, um, But he recommended, and he said, Joe, he said, I would never use chemotherapy on you. And if I did it, and here's what the word that he said, I would use chemo homeopathically.
Hey, real quick, before we jump back in, if you're enjoying this episode of Let's Talk Shit, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Every subscribe, every download, and every share helps us reach more people who are tired of feeling stuck and ready to feel like themselves. And if someone popped into your mind while you're listening, a friend, sister, buddy, workout friend, your husband, your neighbor, or that person who's always sending you the health podcast, send this to them right now. Word of mouth is how this podcast grows, and I so appreciate every single share. All right, let's get back to the conversation. What is that?
In other words, instead of loading the person, what he did was he gave very small dosages to let the body figure out. Because basically what cancer is the body gets stupid. That's what I read 10 books of holistic different views. And in every author said the body just forgets what to do with cancer. Why would the immune system allow these rogue cells to replicate at such a fast rate without doing something about it? Now, whether the body had the capacity to deal with it or not is a good question. That's a big factor. But the fact that the body just kind of ignores it. And so eventually that cycle of replication overwhelms. And then it travels to other places, which is metastases. So he recommended, and I had also my family to honor. They wanted me to do something medically. They loved me and didn't want me to die. So I honored that. And he chose a drug that was not sanctioned by the FDA. And it was a drug called Rituxan. And it isn't a cancer drug. It is used now in cancer, but it was being used in Europe, in Italy at the time, in the early 2000s. However, it wasn't, but now it is for specific B-cell cancers, which I had. I had a large B-cell cancer. So Rituxan, I did 20 rounds. It cost me $200,000 because the insurance did not cover it. And so that's what I did up front, along with the diet and lifestyle and taking time, loving myself. And then I did, along with that, I did a tremendous amount of nutrition and herbs, which, again, we won't have time to go into all of that in this hour because we only have 20 minutes left. But I will give you the protocol that I used. And so the Rituxan, and Rituxan, I looked it up. It has a good track record. It has a 30-year, well, at that time, 20 years, it has a 50-year track record of being safe with very few side effects. However, I won't go into the side effects, but it did affect me now with, especially as I've gotten older, with my sex drive is not present. So there's always an outcome for medications, always, and some of them forever. Chemo, and you can look this up, is very hard. I won't say it destroys the kidneys. It's very hard on the kidneys and liver. It's a poison. And so the organs that have to handle that get stressed and weakened and break down. So being aware of that and having that conversation with your whatever doctors you use, especially your oncologists, and have them work with you.
I just know that the listener right now is probably going, well, what was his diet like? I want to know because I want to make sure I'm eating that now and not doing this then. And I know they're going to want to know your diet.
Okay, so it was no alcohol, no caffeine. And as I say, most proteins were gone, other than fresh caught fish and organic chicken. And I did a lot of mushrooms. Now you can research different mushrooms with cancer, and there's some great outcomes with that. So I lived on mushrooms, and mushrooms don't have a high amount of protein, but they do have a good amount of protein. And I used a paleo diet, which paleo is very strict, but basically it's a vegetarian diet with small amounts of protein. But paleo doesn't allow cheese or eggs. So with my clients, I still to this day recommend the paleo diet, and which, by the way, paleo diet has no fruit. It's not the Mediterranean diet.
And no beans.
So
no beans, no grains.
That's right. It's strictly vegetables. So I did that for 2 years, along with the Rituxan and then the supplement program that I did. Yeah. So here's the thing about the Mediterranean diet, which is a good diet. Don't get me wrong. But if you have cancer, you cannot have any sugar. You can't have the carbohydrate in grains. Now, you could say, I had a client that I worked with, and she had cancer in her gallbladder, and she refused to have her gallbladder removed. That was my recommendation. And she lived, speaking of grains, the only thing she could eat, because think of your gallbladder, anything you put in your mouth is painful, and you suffer with eating anything. But she lived on millet for a couple of years, and the cancer cleared. So all she ate.
Really?
I have other clients. There's another diet out there which is called the whole milk diet, and basically all you eat is dairy. So, but remember, dairy has a sugar content, milk sugar to it,
and hormones, unless it's raw.
If it's not whole milk, raw milk. It's called the raw milk diet. So it took me a minute to remember it. So, but I eat a little fruit now. I do not eat fruit every day. It's not part of my life. Because you could say, oh no, fruit's good. No sugar is good. It's going to feed. Now, if you look it up, which I did before I came on today, about no sugar, they warn people, which is how the reductionist consciousness works, which is fine. I respect them. And they say, well, that's not good either. They always talk themselves out of what is truly known to work. They talk themselves out of it. And they said, well, then you can make glucose out of your protein. It's called gluconeogenesis, which is true if you eat too much. And the other thing about a true cancer diet, in my opinion, is to eat less. Just let the body. It's not that you don't want to lose a lot of weight, but most of us carry 10 to 20 to 30 pounds that we don't need. And so, which I think I spoke about last time in andropause and menopause. So basically, that's what I did. Pretty restrictive diet, but boy, I have to say, the Rituxan wiped me out after a treatment, but I started feeling better and better, and And you on my what I've given to you to give to everybody, you can see on the PET scan 2 years later the cancer was gone.
What did you think when you saw that PET scan?
Well, I I was humbled and I was thankful that what I have learned and what I've stayed true to works, which is what
Mm-hmm.
all people want. They want to know what works. And I've
Mm-hmm.
taught health professionals, as you know, you said 54 years now. That's all they want to know. What did you
Mm-hmm.
do? What works? What have
Mm-hmm.
you found to be true? Now, I have a certain limited range because I mainly use Standard Process and Mediherb. There's a few other
Mm-hmm.
companies I use things from, but um, but as we're getting on in time, the other thing that I did, and which is in the notes, is two other things. Is the four things you must do is no sugar, reduce anything that causes rises in hormone. Okay, so that would be makeup with women. You got to check to see if those encourage estrogen or they have
Mm.
estrogen promoting properties. All of that. You have to check that out.
Would that be a xenoestrogen?
Yeah, right. That's
Mm-hmm.
right. There's a whole class of xenoestrogens from the environment, what we put on our bodies, what we take in our bodies. But the most important thing, and this is all documented in my hour-and-a-half lecture, there was a doctor that realized, I think he was a pediatrician, I think. Can't remember now. I should have looked that up. I apologize. But you'll see he has a book that he wrote in the early 1900s, and he hypothesized and realized that the only reason why did my sister get cancer? Why did my brother get cancer? I'm the health nut. Now you can
Mm.
say, well, it's genetics, which is true. I have cancer on both sides of my parents' family. I was lacking one thing, two things, that people that get cancer and get growth patterns, abnormal growths in their body, even benign tumors, growths on your face, on your skin, and internal growths. They're missing two pancreatic enzymes. One is called trypsin, and the other is called chymotrypsin. Now, you can use Google AI or Straight AI and look up those in relationship to cancer, and they will confirm what I say. They always add in something else. Uh, but this doctor in the early, Dr. Beard, discovered that if you give people, they're not making those, and those two enzymes from the pancreas are the ones that will scout around. They will look through your system and they will identify and break down. They will digest abnormal rogue cells.
Wow. And that's in the panimmune enzymes, correct?
And the company I found, now there's trypsin. So trypsin and chymotrypsin is used in other products. There's other companies. There's companies out of Germany that use trypsin and chymotrypsin for back problems and joint problems because those are abnormal inflammatory cells. Now they're not cancer cells, but they're abnormal. Yeah. And so
Well,
they use that in their products to reduce inflammation and help you. And I can't remember the name of the company right
but wouldn't you
now.
say, Joseph, would you say that inflammation is the sneaky, silent precursor to all chronic illness? So if you have back problems, yeah, go ahead.
Here's the principle I've lived and taught since I was 20 years old when I first began to learn all of this is malnutrition, inflammation, there it is, disease. Now, there are some that say, well, the disease is there and then the inflammation occurs. I do not agree. I don't agree. A precursor to any abnormal buildup of dangerous or degenerated cells, first you get the alarm bell. And that's the inflammation. If you have inflammation somewhere, it's a red flag. It's ringing the bell. Joe, I'm tapping you on the shoulder here, buddy. You got to do something about it. I'm telling you right now, your body speaks to you if you listen to it.
I agree.
Right. So these two, and the reason I like the panimmune enzymes is most companies, which is fine, they put a bunch of other synthetic vitamins and other stuff. You need, if you've got an inflammatory issue from cancer to rheumatoid arthritis, you've got to use very high amounts of these trypsin and chymotrypsin on an empty stomach. Remember, if you take it with food, it's going to digest your food. What you want to do is take it on an empty stomach so it goes in and looks around and says, you're out, you're out, you're out, you don't belong, you don't serve, you're not serving this body. So to this day, I still take 4 capsules of this product every day.
Do you take it first thing in the morning or midday, or when do you take it? Before bed?
I take it before bed because my stomach is empty, and then it works all night. Because that's when, whatever you believe, the angels come and bless and heal you too. Scientifically, that's when your body reestablishes balance and heals and cleanses. Yeah.
Yes.
That's why they call it breakfast. You're breaking the fast of 12 hours.
Yes.
And as you've taught, and that's why intermittent fasting is so powerful. So powerful. Because now you're giving the body a long rest.
Yeah.
You're eating 7 hours a day, but then the rest of the 24 hours, the body's getting rid of and dealing with things. So that's what I wanted to get in here before the hour is up. For sure. Now, that's information, and the information about Dr. Beard is all in my notes. The other is to use a substance called Laetrile. So that's vitamin B17, Laetrile. Now, if you go to a clinic in Germany or a clinic in Mexico, the Contreras Clinic, I knew Dr. Contreras. I had dinner with him a couple of times. He and his wife and his son, I think his children run that clinic down in Tijuana, Mexico. Now you can go down, and they will give you injections of B17 of Laetrile. But there is substance, once again, for every condition on earth. There is a substance to cure it. Now that's the saying. So now they say there's a plant to cure it, but I would say a substance, because it's more than plants in some cases, as it is. In the kernel of the apricot, there is a natural Laetrile, vitamin B17, which will go in and it won't disrupt any normal cells. It knows how to identify rogue cells. There's your natural chemo. Now, chemotherapy. Now, most and you got to get organic apricot uh, seeds, or yeah,
Correct.
because and you can't get them in this country. So the AMA has basically driven companies because they made the claim that it cures. You can't
Mm-hmm.
make that claim
Mm-mm.
because they own the word cure, which is fine. So I don't have any contest with that at all.
Mm-hmm.
They can own what they want to own. Render unto Caesar's that which is Caesar's, and
Yeah.
render unto God or nature what is nature's, you know? So, but you can get them online. There are different companies, but you want to get organic because you don't know if the apricots have been sprayed or not.
Correct. I have some
And where
downstairs in
those
my
products,
cabinet. Yeah.
the cat, the poison is going to go to the kernel. It's going to go to the center of everything. That's where it goes. So
And
just
boy,
look for
are
the
they
examples of it.
bitter. They are, I mean, you can only eat a couple at a time. They are so potent.
Yeah. Unless you're
So,
Joseph. You know how
how
many
many,
I took a day for 2 years?
how many?
30 a day. 30 a day. I took
Oh,
10 3 times a day.
oh my gosh. It never did. Oh,
They,
mm,
they taste like
I,
a bitter almond.
yeah, yeah. Um, I want to ask, yes, I eat two a day right now, every day. I just eat two a day. My husband eats some. Yep, I have them downstairs. Um, so I want to ask you, it's 2026. What do you do that's the same as you did when you had cancer, or how are you living now? Has anything changed? Are you still eating the same way?
No, I have a basically a paleo diet. Now, if I go out, I'll have pizza or Italian, but 5 days a week, I'm the straight and narrow. Basically, I, um, I use the intermittent fasting, so I start eating about 11 o'clock after, I don't eat in the early morning, and I'll have a protein shake or a protein bar, and then I'll have a dinner about anywhere between 3 and 5 o'clock, and it's usually a salad with chicken or tuna or and I've actually now gotten away from beef, all beef. It's just too heavy on my system.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm 74, so
Mm-hmm.
younger people can handle that.
Mm-hmm.
And I still use the Panamune enzymes. I still take the apricot kernels. I only take a few a day. I'll just open the jar, whatever hits my hand, that's what I take. So 3 or 4,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and then and, and then a salad, and then I have I like wine. I have a glass of red wine every night. Just like 4 ounces, just a little.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy that, but I don't do any. I don't take any fruit, and I don't eat sugar like desserts. And now, if you've gone out to dinner with me, I don't think you and I have gone out to dinner. Of course, I will. I'll have a bite. We get a group dessert, and we all split it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
been my rule of thumb. But I'm very careful, and I think I said last time I walk 2 to 3 miles a day. I walk a lot. So I was just looking at my phone registers. The last 6 months, I've walked 2.4 miles a day. Some
That's
days I don't
amazing.
get out, but
That's amazing.
yeah.
Um,
And I'm a big water drinker. I like sparkling mineral water is my favorite, and I just drink a lot of it. So I'm careful, careful.
mhm. You have to be. I think when you get any diagnosis, you can't continue living like you used to or live like everybody else if you want to outrun it. You have to do something different, which if you're all
The
like you were
word?
already
The word?
healthy.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Well, I try to be. I have aging, skin and aging things. I have to go to the dermatologist and get things frozen off, because I'm a pink Irishman, or red faced, and so you got to do what you got to do. Um, but yeah, and I just think, and you understand this as you get older. Less is more moderation, more sleep. You know, that's the one thing before cancer. I was lucky if I slept 6 hours a night. I was, I was tearing it up. But
Mm-hmm.
now I 8 to 10 hours a night now. So,
And doesn't that feel good?
oh,
Eight
I
to
love
ten
it.
hours.
Oh, it's great. Great.
Oh, Joseph.
That's why I say, on my questionnaire with people, I always say, how do you feel when you get up in the morning? Oh, I'm still exhausted. I have to have if I can't even without coffee, you know, I can't even get up and get going. That's not a good sign.
Right.
You should be refreshed in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
You should get up and say, I feel great this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to work toward that goal. So I wanted to say one last thing. So the protocol you asked me what I do now, the protocol that I used and have used all along is all my protocols are listed in order of importance. So if you take the top 5 products that I used during my journey through cancer, I still take today. Calcium lactate, Imuplex, Cataplex C, or sometimes Cyruta Plus, as you know, is a more concentrated form of the bioflavonoids, rutin, hesperetin, and quercetin. Because rutin is the known, even at Harvard studies, as the anti-stroke vitamin.
Mm-hmm.
So I take that or Cataplex C. I rotate, and then so what's the 5? Calcium Imuplex.
Protomorphogen.
Oh, Arginex, and
Arginine.
then yes, and then the protomorphogen for your lymph is thymus.
Mm-hmm.
The thymus gland is basically just a big lymph gland. Basically, there's more to it than that, but that's another conversation. But yeah, and I take that. Oh, and I had a B cell, which is a spleen cancer. So I take the 2 protomorphogens I take every day is thymus and spleen.
Mm,
Yeah. Now
I
there's a lot
love
of
it.
other things that I take, but if you just did that, take the protomorphogen for whatever area you have the cancer, plus the calcium. Yeah.
Yep. And I think a lot of times, well, most people don't align immune health with cancer. They don't make that connection. No one has ever told them that you have to support your immune system to prevent cancer, and if you have cancer, you have to 10 times the immune system support. No one's ever told them that.
And the other thing that most don't realize is that 70 to 90% of your immunity is in your gut.
That's right.
A
That's right.
healthy gut biome. And that's why, where are you seeing now? Cancer is on the rise now. It's not, they don't, they don't have a cure now. And they say, well, we don't have a cure, but we can help, which is true. They do. But where the cancer is showing up in young people now, colorectal cancer, rampant in people, adults, 50 and under. Look
Yep.
it up, everyone.
Yep.
Done lectures on it.
Yep.
Colorectal cancer. So here is where. So what do I do about that? Yogurt, uh, kombucha. Uh, uh, what are some of the other fermented foods?
Sauerkraut,
Kimchi.
raw honey, I mean,
Yeah.
in small amounts,
And,
but
and
sauerkraut,
ferment. Yeah. Right.
I mean, even raw
Well,
apple
anything
cider vinegar.
fermented. Yeah. Yeah. So my rationale is wine is fermented. So
That's mine too.
yeah, yeah. Wine and really bad cheese,
Yeah.
I mean stinky cheese. Yeah. Really fermented.
Oh my gosh, this is so good. Well,
Well,
Joseph,
I agree. Yeah.
um, I'm
Good
going
story to
to
share all of it.
I'm going to put the link of your journey, the link that you sent me, your story. I'm going to put that in the show notes and they can just click on that. They can also, where can people find out more about your cancer journey besides the link that will be in the show notes?
Well, I have a YouTube channel. My journey was removed. Yeah. Somebody took it
Oh,
off. But it's back on, they say now. And I wrote that blog too and I brief what I've said today. I really cut it down to the 4 things that you must do. No glucose, lower hormones, boost immunity with supplements and herbs, and panimmune enzymes.
yep. Got it.
So,
Okay, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your journey, your inspiration. Everything about this is so good. People are going to want to share this because everybody knows somebody with cancer. Everybody does. Everybody does. Sadly. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here and then we can chat for just a few seconds. Okay.
okay, great. Blessings, everyone.
Thank you. Hey, before you go, would you like to receive my ultimate gut repair guide for free? This guide has everything you need to know about leaky gut, what's causing it, how it's affecting your daily life, a meal plan, and 5 ways you can start healing your gut today. This is the same framework that my VIP clients use when they start healing their gut. It's amazing. All you have to do is leave an honest review of Let's Talk Shit, screenshot it, share it to your Instagram stories, and tag me at Lisa Garrett Nutrition. I hope today's episode inspired you to make some shit happen in your life because you're freaking awesome. And I cannot wait to connect with you next time on Let's Talk Shit.